Coach Mangini is here. Coach, the question we had in the document is mixed messages in Buffalo. I'm going to ask you a different question.
Okay.
So he's got the Super Bowl banner up, McDermott, and Josh Allen's like, no, man, I'm focused on the playoffs. What should they be focused on? Week 1 in the Jets or today's training camp? Like, what do you focus on?
I got really excited when I saw that Josh Allen had said that they need to focus on something besides the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh, all right, they're on the right track. And then he said the playoffs, and I was like, no, no. Like, one of the greatest gifts that Bill Belichick has as a head coach is his ability to get a group to focus on the task at hand. It's better than anybody I've ever been around, and I think that's what distinguishes and that's what makes him great, because when you're thinking about a goal that's so far, so distant in the future, it's easy to lose track of what's in front of you. It's easy to overlook teams. It's easy to skip, maybe not work as hard as you think you need to work. All those things happen when your goal is 6 months down the lane. And what Bill would do is it was just the next meeting, the next practice, the next drill, the next lift. Like, that's all you want to focus with. And it's like an avalanche. You got to put 1 million snowflakes on a mountain to create that avalanche. And the snowflakes come day in and day out with good, conscious, consistent focus, not looking at things, 1 million miles away. Every year you got to rewrite the story. You don't get to start with the ending.
Another of the winningest coaches, Phil Jackson in the NBA, was the same way. It's about the journey, right? Focusing on the journey, not the end goal. Now, I think these are human beings, and these are grown men, and they know whether he put that banner up or not. Every one of those players knows it's Super Bowl or bust. All right, if we don't, it's not getting to the playoffs or bust. It's not getting to the AFC title game. It's not getting to the Super Bowl, because they've been there before. I mean, Buffalo in general. It is Super Bowl win or bust. So they all know that. And you're right, Josh said the playoffs, okay? Von Miller said in an interview with as well that he and Josh, all they talk about is golf and winning the Super Bowl. That's what he said. That's all we talk about, golf and Super Bowls. And Von Miller knows how to win too. So I just think I get what you're saying, Coach. But I think, as you said it about 3 times first segment, 2 things can be true. They can be focused on the Super Bowl, but also understand, but to get to the Super Bowl, to get to the playoffs, as Josh was saying, we have to focus on every team 1 game at a time. So I think they can do that.
Here's what I know, because I totally, and you have been very consistent from the first time we ever talked football about this, about focus on what's right in front of you. Mm-hmm. But I also I think, and maybe it's different if you just won the Super Bowl, but I think in Kansas City, they probably are focused on, yes, today's training camp, but also defending the champ, and so I think there's maybe different paths there. Here's what I know, though. The Bills can't get on the same page. They cannot get on the same. Sean McDermott initially had trouble getting on the same page with himself when Stephon Diggs had him very, very concerned. And then the next day it was, what's everybody asking for? What's the problem? Well, who's concerned here? By the way, practice tomorrow canceled. Not sure if Stephon's going to come back. And then we're plastering the Lombardi trophy in our practice facility. And he told us why, because that's the goal. And then your franchise quarterback tells Kay Adams, yeah, we're focused on the playoffs. We have signs that say the playoffs. So you have signs in the locker room that says the playoffs. You have the signs in the practice facility, it's the Lombardi Trophy. At some point, I imagine you have the week schedule there. And so there's a lot of breadcrumbs of a season that is not getting off to the best foot. With the Diggs thing, Leslie Frazier's, to me, odd and was, I don't want to say uncovered, but lightly covered. I'm not retiring, but I'm taking a year off from football, which puts more on Sean McDermott's plate. All in the background of the Bills, while every other team we're talking about going to the Super Bowl has either maintained or gotten better the last couple years. Eagles have gotten better. The Niners have maintained. The Chiefs gotten better. The Jags, the Chargers, each by their standards, got better. The Cowboys got a step further. The Bills, the last 3 years, have gone backwards, each one. From the AFC title game to an overtime round 2 loss on the road to a blowout round 2 loss at home. They're going in the wrong direction. They have some off-season upheaval. They're not on the same page. Everybody thinks I'm a Bills hater. I'm a truth teller.
Well, you are.
But I've been correct.
Two things can be true. You are a Bills hater.
Yes.
He told a little bit of truth.
He's focused on Kansas City and hating the Bills at the same time.
Von
on the
Miller
same page.
has an apt comparison for who Josh Allen is.
Okay.
It's Peyton Manning. And here Von Miller is with Kay Adams. Take a listen. You jumped the quote. I didn't realize that. Sorry about that. Are you good with that?
I threw you off
Yeah,
so
I got
much.
lost. Are you good with this comparison?
Wildes, I got to admit, this question you put together is a tad misleading.
Why?
Because if you watch the quote, the whole quote,
Yeah.
all right, in the context in which he compared Peyton and Josh, it's wholly fair. What he was saying, and he actually threw in Matt Stafford too. He said Peyton Manning, Matthew Stafford, they were the same every day. Whether you won, won or lost, whether you're getting accolades or people were saying you weren't going to do this or that, they were the same every day, and that's what Josh Allen is. So in that regard, yes. I don't think, this is not a slight on Josh. Obviously, he's not Peyton Manning, but I don't think anyone would really compare him to Peyton Manning as a football player.
Stylistically, of course not.
Stylistically, they're
No.
completely different.
And I don't think
the
that's
way
what
they
it is. Yeah.
dominate, the game is different. So I think in that context, it was right.
Okay.
But because they're so stylistically different, it makes them very different off the field as well. Because Peyton Manning never had the option to run with the ball. That was never an answer to his problems. His answers were always cerebral. So Peyton got to the point where he could read defenses and understand what was coming prior to the snap and then take advantage of it. And you had to constantly try to fool him. And then within the game, at halftime, he could figure out what you were in. So you had to give him something different in the second half. And guys that can answer questions with their feet and solve problems with their feet, they often don't develop the same way because they've never had to do it that way.
Right.
So I don't see the trajectory.
No. Stylistically, if we're going to find a quarterback to compare him to, and it actually very similar early careers, Josh Allen's most similar to pre-injury Dante Culpepper. And by the way, also got to a conference championship game, got blown out in it, had monster year. Dante then got hurt. And, people, I guess maybe younger people don't know how great he was briefly in Minnesota. His last healthy year in Minnesota, he was excellent. But take Styles out of it. As far as kind of his place in the AFC, the concern for the Bills or for Josh is not that he's Peyton Manning. It's that he's Phillip Rivers, which is there's nothing wrong with being Phillip Rivers, but Phillip Rivers played in an era with 3 other no doubt first ballot Hall of Famers in his own conference. And he was awesome and never was good enough because of it. And Josh, the last 3 years, having lost to Mahomes, Burrow, sounds a lot like Phillip Rivers when he took over with the Chargers, losing to Brady, and then Manning, and then Ben, and then Mark Sanchez randomly, and then Brady again. Phillip Rivers, oddly, his final playoff loss came to Josh Allen when Rivers with the Colts, which is if you're in a conference with Mahomes and with Burrow, and I know you guys aren't as high on the Prince as I am, that's fine, but you guys might be higher on Lamar or Justin Herbert, or somebody's going to be 4th, and somebody's going to be 5th.
Herbert hasn't won a playoff game.
Okay.
Also,
okay.
I mean,
Or an MVP.
Yeah.
and
Well,
Brady didn't get there every year. Manning didn't get there every year. Mahomes won't get there every year. It's not just going to be Mahomes and Burrow for the next.
No, I get it, but Phillip Rivers never got there. Phillip Rivers,
I
some
think
people
he can
think, a Hall of Famer.
I think he
never
could
got
be
there.
better than Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
I thought we were having Herbert beat Phillip Rivers. The jerseys are the same the whole 9.
Well, that's
Switched
I didn't switch it. I'm just saying in the quarterback hierarchy, someone's got to be Phillip Rivers.
Man.
And the Prince is right there. The Prince is Peyton Manning 2.0, Burrow's Tom Brady 2.0, and Mahomes is Godzilla 1.0. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.